Hey everyone, and welcome to my first episode here on YouTube of Satisfactory. Now, a quick disclaimer before we get into it. You're gonna see some Fixmas stuff throughout the video. It's for a bunch of reasons. I didn't get this edited for a while, so that's why that's there. So just getting that out of the way to avoid any confusion of like thinking you've time traveled to the past or the future or anything. But yeah, that's why. And now that's out of the way, we can make our way to our starting location and take away all the mineral deposits and start building some machines. So the way I like to do early game is I like to build tiny little modules that run on their own power until we get a more centralized power, so that we can like activate the individual modules whenever we need stuff, because the most important thing is getting milestones, but we're not going to need concrete constantly for every milestone, right? So being able to deactivate some of them when we don't need them is really useful. So until we unlock base building and logistics, we're just going to be smacking things down on the dirt like this and just getting a little bit when we need it. So in order to unlock base building and logistics, I went out and I just ran around and did a touch of exploring until we had just enough stuff to unlock both those milestones. And then we started putting down some more balanced, better, more organised little modules rather than just on the dirt. So with our newfound milestones, the first thing I decided to reorganise was iron plates, because you end up needing a lot of those, and if we're going to be building neater conveyors, that takes more than just running them in straight lines, because straight build mode is a further distance. And I was going to do them all anyway, so it didn't really matter the order to me. But, so yeah, we got iron plates, and then there was no break, and I moved straight on to getting some better, more consistent power for these new little modules. So you can see I'm building a manifold for biomass burners, and I'm putting 15 on because when we unlock solid biofuel, then one constructor that's making solid biofuel can fuel 15 biomass burners. So it's a nice number, and that's why we're doing it, because I want to get the most out of biomass, because I want to really make this like actually useful to me. It's temporary still, but I want to make it useful, so it needs to be able to run. So we need good power, even if the power is biomass, until we get coal. So moving on from that, you can see, as well as putting the new power and the iron plates, I also upgraded and enhanced all of our existing things. So I added screws to the iron rods, and I didn't upgrade copper yet. That waited a while, because my thinking was I wanted to wait until I was closer to getting part assembly, because when we have part assembly we unlock copper sheets, so we can automate all the copper things. And copper wasn't really like pressing for me. Like, you make ridiculous amounts of cable and wire, so I didn't really need to upgrade it that quickly. So that's why that one waited. But while I was waiting, because the screws of all things were taking a while, I did go out and did some more exploring, so we could unlock field research when we came back with all the screws we would have built up. So now you can see that I did make the copper thing, but it's still incomplete here, because like I said, we don't have copper sheets, so this still needed some expansion, which is what the other copper node there is for, because copper sheets take a surprising amount of copper, especially since there's no alternates. I mean, I wouldn't be wasting alternates at this point, but there's no alternates until late that are actually worth it. But yeah, you can see here, everything upgraded to the new level, and now we're unlocking obstacle clearing, so we can get a chainsaw, solid biofuel, and increase our power so we can support a bigger production, so we can use assemblers, so we can start automating reinforced iron plates, rotors, and modular frames, and eventually smart plating.
Ensures maximum efficiency of biomass burners. To aid in biofuel production, the chainsaw allows for the removal of tougher wood and coral foliage. Additionally, your pocket dimension has been inflated to increase inventory size. Inspirational note: will you be the Fix-It Employee of the Month?
So we finally got obstacle clearing, and with that we can now activate our solid biofuel constructor, as you can see here running, making us some lovely solid biofuel and increasing our power capacity by a little bit. But we are actually still in a bit of a deficit because the constructor requires 120 biomass per minute, but we do not have Mark II belts unlocked yet because we don't have automated reinforced iron plates, which is about to change as we unlock part assembly and go in to making all of that and getting Logistics Mark II and jump pads and resource sync bonus program. But most importantly out of those three, Logistics Mark II. So these two are the nodes I'm going to be using for reinforced iron plates and rotors. There is another one which is just up and to the right which I'm going to be using for modular frames, but I didn't show that one because I'm silly. That one I'm going to be using for smart plating later because we only need one smart plating per minute, so that can be supplied by its own node, and I don't want to take away from our rotor or reinforced iron plate production because we need those. But before we start that, I remembered, oh yeah, part assembly, we have copper sheets now, so that was nice, and with that I then unlocked the awesome shop and customization for our factory, so I made the swatch. This, you can pause and look at the hex codes if you want to copy me for some reason, but it's just the Pioneer overalls and then a more saturated version of the Fix It orange. I would go with a matte white, but I've done that before and I feel like I wanted to switch it up, but if you think it would look better with matte white, please tell me. If you have any different colours, then I might try them out. If you just comment, just ideas of colours like cerulean blue, if you're fancy, you know. But thanks to Fixmas actually coming in clutch, I was able to use pulsed nobelisks, which I got from the calendar, in the Awesome Sync and get some really fast tickets early on. So with that, we can unlock concrete foundations and the wall power outlets and modern catwalks. All very necessary things if we want to make this little bit of the desert look a bit nicer than it currently does, because I have some ideas to put in some pathways with some patterns. But before we do that, we do actually need to complete the factory. So, you see here me finishing off the reinforced iron plate production, just putting down the assembler and then connecting the belts in. It's very simple stuff. But we weren't done with these new productions yet, because we also needed to finish off the rotors, which I actually did just off camera because I'm a really good content creator who records everything I do and didn't miss it. Yep. Which I didn't also do with the modular frames, so they're also there now. Sorry, but I can't turn back time and re-record it. Wish I could. I wish it worked like that. But anyway, moving on. Now we have all of that and we have some pathways down. I decided it was time to move the hub to a more permanent space so that we have a better base of operations, so we don't have to keep just jumping up onto the foundations. So this is all part of the effort to make it really our base here in the desert and not just some random collections of machines on foundations, you know? So we need obviously the hub, but we also need the MAM so we can do all our research, and we'll need the equipment workshop and the awesome shop as well. And so this is it. This is our little personal base area. I really like the touch of the little garden with the 2 trees in it. I didn't spare those on purpose, but then when I was building the foundations they were poking through and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So the only thing that was left to do was to put a railing around the whole thing so we don't fall. And then this is it. This is going to be our home for the foreseeable future. But we still need to put the pathways down. So I'm just going to speed this up and we can just watch me build paths all the way around. And now our starter area is finished. There's just one final detail we need to add. The space elevator. This is going to be where we make all our progression through the phases, and so I wanted it to be a nice central spot, so I just raised it up a little bit, put it on a hill, and connected it through. So now also the pathways make a complete circle we can walk around, so I can pace and think about what I'm going to do next. Because that's nice, you know. And I just give it the same treatment I was doing the whole way around, just the concrete with the railings and the pathway. But I'll let Ada explain.
Project assembly initialized. Congratulations, Pioneer. The space elevator will now automatically connect with the Project Assembly orbital platform. Project assembly is divided into phases, each of which require the delivery of project parts, such as smart plating, via the space elevator. Subsequent phases unlock access to new tiers with more advanced technologies to construct, automate, explore and exploit. It is time to be honest. This project is part of the Save the Day program, the largest united undertaking in human history, destined to save us all. Earth is in peril and only Fix-It pioneers offer hope for survival. Fix-It is counting on you. Humanity is counting on you. Do not let Fix-It down.
So, now we've built the space elevator, we need to automate smart plating so we can complete phase 1. So I'm going to use this here iron node and just build a very, very small production line just to make 1 per minute so it can slowly tick up in the background. But unfortunately, that is only kind of what happened. What actually happened is I built all the constructors I'll need and I hooked it up and it was very nice. And then I got completely and utterly sidetracked before finishing and just went exploring to complete some man research. I don't even remember why I did this, but I did. So, what can you do? You know, what can you do? Okay, finally, after I give like literally 40 minutes to an hour of doing absolutely nothing, I finished the smart plating thing, and then all we had to do was set it off and wait. And then we completed phase 1. But, like I said, we do have to wait. So you know what that means.
Welcome to the Project Assembly Pioneer Progress presentation. Congratulations, the Phase 1 project part shipment is now ready for delivery. On delivery, Phase 1 will be completed and the distribution platform will be constructed. After completion of Phase 1, the technologies of Tiers 3 and 4 will become available in the hub. Highlights are automated power, steel production, personnel transportation, and many more. Completing Phase 2 of project assembly is your next main objective. New project parts will need to be produced and delivered to the space elevator as you have done previously. Continue to construct, automate, explore and exploit for a better fix-it future. Phase 1 of project assembly completed. This is only the beginning of project assembly, the first step towards saving the day. You have performed adequately so far. Reminder: not only is Fix-It saving humanity, it is saving all of Earth, including kittens and puppies. It is statistically likely that you appreciate the continued existence of kittens and/or puppies. Continue the work for their sake. Continue the work for Fix-It. It is time to start the work on Phase 2 of project assembly.
And with that, I think that's going to about do us for this first episode here. I'd like to say thank you very much if you made it all the way to the end, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Remember, like and subscribe if you feel like it, but no pressure, and maybe even hit the bell. It means a lot, you know. As someone with 1 subscriber, it means a lot, every single subscriber. Next time we should be getting to work on coal and possibly steel. So, stick around for that if you're interested. And I will see you all later.